Hey everybody, it's Mark from the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast, coming to you live on Twitch and YouTube every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tonight, Zeno from DFFOO Gaming and myself coming to you for episode 179. But I'm going to try to get a couple of my fight videos out because I haven't gotten them up. I did them, of course. And so this is that surprise Lenna fight, Malordorous Knight. And so you have a two-wave Lufenia plus, you have these Malordorous, and then you have the Sahagins, and bosses we fought before with different conditions. And even these similar Lufenia plus versions of these bosses that were in the Japan timeline, the Japanese version of the game timeline, these are a little bit different. Different HP, different orb conditionals. So this first wave is actually the easier of the two. Their orb is going to appear right now. As you see, it ticks up every time a party member is over 30,000 brave at the end of a turn. If you cleanse debuffs, like use Esna, etc. Sid Reigns has Esna on his kit, I think it's EX. So many characters do. Yuna's the big one. She has Esna. You literally press Esna. The orb pops and you're dead. And so I think that's awesome. That's a great way to get through that fight, or a great way to kind of say, hey, Esna's not going to cut it. So debuff evasions are real key. Obviously, Lenna brings debuff evasion 100%. Other characters do as well. They don't have a ton of HP, so Twins kind of breaks through it. Lenna hits the orb as well because she batteries the party. She's a great battery. She's designed for this fight. I think you should pick her up anyway, but there are other ways around this fight. But Lenna kind of hits all the ticks besides for the second, the dispelling that you might need for the second wave, or the debuff stacking you might need. But yeah, Twins really eats it in to this fight. The problem is you need to make sure you bring your Twins friend in early enough, because the next wave absorbs magic. So your Twins aren't going to be doing anything in the second wave. So bring the Twins in early enough. I think I brought them in around 79%, and they're going to eat through the boss. I brought Kane because why not? You need brave damage, I think. They're weak to brave damage. The second ones are the Sahagins are weak to brave damage, or weak to range damage. So I thought that'd be a good pairing, and wanted to try Kane and Lenna together. I think they're a pretty good pairing as well. Lenna's a pretty good pairing for anybody. And Kane's obviously a favorite, so I want to get him use while I can, especially while he's in synergy, before we get to the back-to-back 1 million damage dealers. That I'm not necessarily going to chase any of those. That'd be Machina, Null, and Locke. They each have a 1 million damage button, obviously depending on your team comp and your setup. But yeah, they can easily do 1 million damage each. Just by pressing one button. So you're going to have all three of those as options, potential, depending on your pull. So yeah, this first wave, not terribly difficult. Obviously, the debuff evasion makes it a lot better. Their debuffs aren't horrendous. I think the 2-turn attack down, defense down, speed down, brave poison, and yeah, and they can do the attack down a couple other times. So obviously that sucks, unless you have a lot of attack down or attack up, attack auras. But it's not the end of the world if you get hit with those attack orbs, that attack down. That being said, debuff evasion, like from Selfie's Wall, that's only 70%. Lenna, Ignis is 100%. Is there somebody else? Those are three of the big ones that you could definitely use in this fight. Aerith, I think, has debuff evasion, right? Aerith's a good pick on this fight. So I brought Yuffie. And the reason I brought Yuffie, the reason I brought Yuffie for this Luffy, no, I hate that, is they get tons of buffs. And not only do they buff themselves, they have a really potent buff called Blessing, which does 30% brave damage resist and 100% HP damage resist, and 50% turn rate up. And so there's a couple of different ways to do that. You can do that by stacking the buffs. You can also do that by buff stealing. And so Yuffie, Belthier are able to kind of to take some of that stuff away from them. There are other cleansers. It is potentially possible to just get through this on calls, because they will do that buff kind of at strategic times. So be careful on that. They do trigger their orb, I believe, automatically at 79%, 49%, and 29%. And so that orb is going off, but it is not deadly. So that is the good thing about the orb. It is not deadly. You can take it. But every time the orb goes off, besides those thresholds, they get that buff. So you don't want the orb to go off a lot. Sephiroth is nice because every time they cleanse, his debuff stays on. Their orb is player grants 80% or more Embrave to one target, but if you do multiple targets, you get multiple boosts. So, of course, Lenna hits that pretty well, and you'll see her do that. Now, she's not, the sad part is she's not doing that to Kain because Kain is in the air right now. But she will do that to herself and to Yuffie. So, and yeah, Kain's pretty much staying in the air most of the time. And again, not too much to worry about here. Yuffie, with her debuffs and her just being able to just continuously wipe those debuffs off, really, I think is one of the, I think this is not the easiest team because you're going to bring a better damage dealer than Kain. I think maybe Jet is a little bit better as a potential damage dealer for your team. So I think that's probably the simplest team, but because Kain is synergy, he's doing a significant amount of damage. So I think this is a pretty straightforward, easy team. Obviously, you're going to take HP damage because they pop their orbs regardless. And so Odin is real nice for that because that will proc that attack up. So, yeah, that's real fun. That's real fun. I actually like this fight a lot. I thought it was creative. I thought it locked out some characters in interesting ways. I feel like the devs have learned from the experience of the Japanese version of the game, and so when they give us, and it's not always, it's hit or miss, right? But often they do give us content that's pretty cool and pretty interesting. I was just checking my turn count. No, I don't want to give up. Thank you very much. 75 turns. Oh, no, I did restart that wave. Oh, I forgot why I did that. I'll have to go back. Oh, yeah. Why did I restart the wave? I must have forgot something that time around. Oh, go back and tell me why I screwed up because I wasn't paying attention. Obviously, when I'm talking and watching this. With you, because I'm not doing live commentary, because I don't do live commentary. That would be ridiculous. I play this phone like on my couch early in the morning, so I'm not doing live commentary. So yeah, I don't. What did I forget to do? Interesting. We all make mistakes. I think that's the lesson we learned, right? Or was I gonna take an orb because I wasn't managing the orb well, and so I was gonna die? Yeah, I don't know. Or did someone die? I completely was not paying attention. Let me know. Like, sub, ring the bell for notifications, and let me know how I screwed up. Thank goodness for that reset button, right? Yeah, but anyway, as I was saying, I really do. I obviously had there's no boss guides or anything when I did this fight, so I was just kind of playing with it as it happened. So you see unedited, I don't give you my 17th run. This is just literally the first time I ran through it. But yeah, no, I feel like the devs have learned some of the lessons, and when they give us new content, often, not always, sometimes they create something new and it is kind of hit or miss, but sometimes they bring us something that, might utilize assets that already exist in the Japanese version of the game, and they're like, okay, I think we can make this. I know there's some complaints that there is not a dispeller on any of the banners right now, I believe. That being said, I think Caius is probably an okay option for this fight. And the big dispeller, of course, would be Vanille as an option for your dispelling. That would have been a recent banner, but we never got her. That being said, there are base calls that you can use for dispelling, and so anyone has access to those base calls. I think Ferris base call. Who else? Obviously, Diabolos is a summon that can dispel. So there are options, but again, if you're a this theoretical new player that we're all concerned about, doesn't need to do this content. Like at the end of the day, the theoretical new player with no debuffers, with no dispellers, probably isn't doing this content because they've been playing for 2 weeks, and let them not do this content. It's okay. Like I've been playing gacha games I will have played gacha games for months and not do endgame content because who cares? Like, yes, I do endgame content for this. I've been playing it for nearly 4 years, and I've always done endgame content for this because this is my primary game, my primary mobile game that I play, and so I'm invested in it. But I would not have worried if early on in DFFOO if things were too hard, like, oh man, I can't do it. But I also went into DFFOO, let me say this, I went into DFFOO as a potential content creator, as someone who had been content creating for a mobile gacha game, and so I kind of went in with the idea that, oh yeah, I need to be invested in this, and I need to think about what I'm doing. So I need to be able to complete the content if I'm going to talk about it on a week by week basis. So yeah, I assume orb management was the issue. So so I don't know what I was thinking there. Yeah, what I was thinking was, oh, is that going to pop the? I was thinking, is her AA gonna give me? I'm really playing with the orb here because I obviously don't know I don't know what Lenna's kit does. It's obvious I have no idea what Lenna's kit does. Obviously, her LD definitely gives more than 30,000 brave to the party. You saw that orb pop up by 10 real quick. Yeah. Remember why I brought Warrior of Lycall for this fight. Interesting. I it may have just been for the effect, because one of the issues with this fight and bringing calls is they cleanse so frequently and rebuff themselves that your calls are not going to last too long if you're bringing debuff calls. So trying to find calls that buff a character as opposed to doing that. No, I just brought it because the shields actually help considerably against the orb popping. So when they hit the threshold, if you have a shield on, that really does help. So I think that's why I brought the Warrior of Lycall. It's been a while since I did this fight. You'll have to excuse me. But let me know what you did. This video's going on a while. Let me know what you did. Yeah, you see that the shield does help against the single target attacks, but also I think the orb popping. No, which it will here in a little bit. Yeah, let me know what you did and what your strategy was. I know if you come to TCC, our Discord, which you can find in the link below, a lot of different options for this. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like, man, this was a good fight. Perfect, I guess maybe if they had paired Lenna with a Dispeller or maybe Yuffie. We just had Belthier though, and he is pretty good on this fight. As long as you don't bring him on the first wave, you just sub him out on the first wave for twins or somebody else. But that being said, again, I think it's a pretty good fight. I do like that the orb does not tick down on boss turns. I really like that on both waves because all too often the game wants you to not give the boss turns, and I do think occasionally it's good to have mechanics where the bosses do get to act. I know, as Mino said, this is like the only game where that's not like the only game that exists where like you can continuously. Oh yeah, her Brave does this. Yeah, there you go. her HP plus Dragon's Breath's nice. But yeah, this is one of the few games where you can consistently no-turn the bosses, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I like that when they target Kane, it's cool. But yeah, every once in a while, they have mechanics that don't penalize you for letting the boss take turns, and I think the orb not ticking down is a good way to deal with that. Although, of course, we're going to get away with orbs, or going away from orbs in Shinryu, but we might get them back too. Let's not pretend like there's not new things in the works there. So. Yeah. Kane jumps. Kane spends most of the fight in the air. That's how he's doing his damage. I like Kane's LD basically makes him be not have to press any buttons, because you don't want to ever use any of his buttons. He does come back, of course, with a BT plus, FR, and C90, so he becomes a little different, but a little bit more of a powerhouse. So I'm looking forward to that, although arguably you can definitely skip him that time around too. But anyway, yes, do let me know how you fought this fight, and if you are struggling with this fight or any fights, come on our Discord. We have a strategy section. We have a thread for every single fight in Lufenia Plus that is active. I think after about 2 weeks of not being active, we go down there. So if there's any older fights you're looking for, just ask people or go to DissidiaFFOO.com. Macnol has boss guides generally for each of the fights, and so that's a great resource. Excalibur has been doing infographics. Destroth has been doing infographics. Those are all on our information content. We have a information content thread or channel on our Discord, and you can find all those infographics there as well. Tonberry Troupe has some hints as well. But yeah, come on and say, don't be afraid to try the fight first, and then come on and say, or after you've done it a couple times, come on and say, here's where I'm struggling. I can't figure this out. What am I missing? And there are people that are going to help you out. But if you want to come on and say, how can I beat this fight without even trying it, or without interacting with the mechanics? Come on, get invested in the game a little bit. Play the game. If you want people to play the game for you, play something else. I don't understand the appeal of that. I understand, you don't want to make the wrong decisions, but there's very few decisions when it comes to pulling or sphering or, artifacts that are going to completely cripple you or are going to be undoable in this game. The biggest thing you can do in this game that's going to, really hurt you is, not selling MLB'd weapons or selling weapons before they're MLB'd. Let me rephrase that. Selling an LD before you MLB it, or selling a 15 or 35 or EX, selling the EX plus of a character that is just LD and you don't have a burst for, selling bursts. Before you need to. Those are mistakes that are a little bit more undoable, but at the end of the day, even if you make one or two of those mistakes, you'll survive. So it's a pretty forgiving game in that sense. And these bosses are nearly dead. They do enrage, so you need to be careful when you kill but Warrior Light's call, really I always forget about it, but Warrior Light's LD call and base call really solid options, especially when the boss is taking turns, and you're not bringing a tank or a defensive character. Like, there's really no defensive character on this team. Kane does kind of have some defensive roles because he can evade attacks when he's in the air, but generally speaking, there's no defensive character on the team. So yeah, the Warrior of Light call is one I tend to forget about because I tend to just stack offensive calls, like Kurasame and Gabranth and Jack and Sephiroth. I mean, those more offensive calls. Ferris if I had her, I don't. But yeah. So yeah, do take a moment if you're still listening. Like, sub, ring the bell. Consider becoming a member. 99 cents. I'm actually playing around with the idea of some different membership tiers, and also maybe trying to focus our energy a little bit more on YouTube and try to pull from Discord and maybe even the podcast community, so that we're not spread out so many. I mean, it costs a lot of money and takes a lot more time to be on Twitch and on YouTube and on all of your podcast apps and have a website. I mean, these are things that we probably don't need. We're spending a lot of time and money for not a huge reward in terms of what we're doing. So yeah, I am kind of thinking about refocusing maybe all of the energy on YouTube and trying to reprioritize, and maybe one day if we get enough members on YouTube, we could just offer the podcast on our Discord kind of as a private thing for people that still want to listen to the audio, or and maybe even get away from Twitch, because I don't have any partiality to Twitch right now, but right now our viewers and our resources are kind of spread around those different venues. So I don't think that necessarily helps us in a lot of different ways when it comes to growth and visibility and everything else. So let me know, and let me know if there's any member-only content that you'd be interested in, or some different tiers that you'd be interested in. What some of my ideas are. Obviously priority questioning, but maybe have a more expensive tier where you would be able to kind of come on, and once a month we'd do like a Q&A show that would be for members only, but it would just be like you and me, and we'd sit and have a conversation for an hour. You could ask anything you want, that kind of stuff. So that'd be a little more of an expensive tier. That wouldn't be $5. That would be a little bit more of an expensive tier, but somebody might be interested in that. So obviously, I wouldn't be able to do more than a few of those tiers. So you see he enrages, but it's not the end of the deal, because he's got steep buffs on. And yeah, Yuffie prevents them from buffing, which is awesome. Yeah, so let me know how you did, and we'll see you at the next video, which is Yidara. Until next time, friends, we'll see you on Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, for episode 179, The Crystal Chronicles, tccpodcast.com. Till then, goodbye.